Hey there, guys and gals. Welcome to part 2 of our interview with Joe Pistone and Leo Rossi. If you haven't heard part 1 yet, make sure to go back and check it out. As always, make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It helps you keep up to date with all things I Know This Guy and helps us grow the show. That's enough for me, and now for the rest of the interview.
Hey, you were talking about, just a second ago, something ending. So you got a series that ends or a movie that ends, and you go back, you say you're going to see everyone and see you later. You never see them. What about, and this goes for undercover as well, deep cover, when a job is done, whether it's a film, any form of entertainment, or whatever you were doing, Joe, is there a point where you get depressed? Like you're working. Because I know for entrepreneurs, when they open up a company or they're doing something and they sell the company, if I talk to an entrepreneur, I say, what did you feel, right after you sold the company? Typically, it's they have a state of depression. Does that ever happen to you guys?
Question. That's a great question. Joe? Never happened to me. Happens to me all the time.
Joe, you were doing the happy dance.
I don't have that depression gene in my body. My whole outlook and mental outlook with undercover is once the job is over, it's over.
You can just move on.
Yeah. But what happens in undercover is that once the undercover part of it's over, you're not done working. Now what you have is you sit down and you brief the attorneys, the prosecutors. You go to a grand jury, so you're testifying, in grand juries. And again, you're prepping for trial. So it ain't like bang and bang. If you want to call it a decompression period, that's your period is all the trial prep. I'll tell you what, I'd rather be working. I'd rather work the undercover thing than the trials, because it's a lot of work. I'll give you an example. If you have several trials on one case, right? When I got to my, say, 5th trial, right? Now I'm prepping for that particular trial. Let's say it's number 5. But also what I have to do is I got to go over all my transcripts from trial 1, 2, 3, and 4, because I can't contradict on trial 5 something that I may have said in those 4 trials. You see what I'm saying? So by the time you get to your 12th trial, you're prepping for that number 12, but you got to go over every transcript for that first 11.
Well, they try. I mean, don't the defense attorneys, they try to confuse you and they go back and they have things marked, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, how about that one attorney that crossed the line with you? The one defense attorney.
Which one?
He didn't compliment you in the open court. He actually took a yeah.
He called me dumb locks.
Yeah. He called you dumb locks. How'd you deal with that, Joe?
Well, you can't get into beefs with defense attorneys when you're on the stand because you're never going to win, But when they come up close to the box where you are, you can whisper something to them. And I can't say it on the air, but I whispered to him, but he got the point.
I could just see the guy going, "Did you hear that, Judge? Did you hear what he said?"
That's exactly what he did.
Oh, he did? Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
So what about you, Leo?
Yeah. The only thing, Norm, is Leo does a lot of mob movies, but at the end of the movie, he doesn't have a $500,000 contract on him.
I was going to lead into that question. Like when you get it done with a job, you've probably got a contract on you. Your life is at jeopardy. The security has to beef up around you. I mean, that's one of the things that I would assume that now it's out. Everybody knows that you're undercover, deep undercover, and your safety. I mean, that's got to be something that's, I mean, even now, isn't it?
Well, it's been a long time, but I don't, I mean, I've moved like 6 different times since the operation,
Yeah.
Just to put time and space in between residences. And where I live, nobody knows who I am,
It's really great when people ask me, so you and Joe Pistone, you're really tight. Yeah, we're tight. Yeah. Where does he live? I said, if I tell you that, then I got to kill you. But once when we were first starting, right? He says, why don't you send that stuff over to me? I said, yeah, I'll send it. To tell me where. So, and I realized it was a laundromat. I was sending the stuff.
That was my address.
That's right.
3 years. My address laundromat.
You remember that, right? Early on.
What about that guy that one guy you introduced me, Leo, and he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Joe." And
yeah. Then he asked me again. He says, he said, "Joe." He says, "Joe what?" And Joe leads in and goes, "Joe." All right, now we'll come clean. We'll come clean with this because Anthony Melchiorri, who you've had on your show.
Oh, yeah. He's been great. He is great. Yeah.
Yes, he's a great human being, okay? Everybody's got their peccadillos, right? We were going to produce a reality show, and it was using Anthony's agent, and Anthony was there. He was going to be a producer on it. I was going to be a producer. It was going to be about Joe and everything. It still may happen, but, and we're having a lunch break in the executive producer's office. And, we're just eating. And Anthony, I don't know what propelled him. He said, "Joe, did you ever kill anybody?" And there was like, everybody put their sandwich down. Did he really ask that? And I went, well, but I got to hear the answer, right? and Joe, in his inimitable way, said, "What do you think?" There it is. There it is. So now it's
perfect answer. Oh
man.
Oh. So, Leo, let's get back to the original question about after you're done a movie and you're working with somebody and you're done, you're gone. Your mood, do you get depressed? Do you get stressed out?
How's my mood after a project stops? Oh, thank God she didn't hear me, because it's like, I go into the shitter. Yeah. That's why writing has helped a great deal, because I'm always working to write something, here, there, and that has helped me. But when I was just actor, blinders on, it was tough. It was, because you have, a normal day of shooting is you get to the set 6:30 in the morning, and there's this way you go have your burrito, and you go with the makeup, and then you go rehearse, and you come back, and it's a swirling dervish. And especially if you got a big role in the movie, and it's 6-8 weeks afterward, it's like, oh, well, what do I do now? And that's why writing helped me a lot. Yeah, a lot of actors go into the dumper. They do.
Yeah, it's very similar to entrepreneurs. Like I said, I was just kind of curious about that. All right, so we were talking about. I was thinking about research for roles. Actor has their research they have to do. Joe, you're streetwise, but did you have to do any additional research? And how did you do it to get into deep cover? And the same question is going to go over to you, Leo, for getting into a role, whether it's a mob role or whatever role.
Joe?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was cast in a role. In fact, in my office, I got the picture up there. A script was sent to me, and my agent, he said, "Listen, there's an offer attached to this if you want to do it." And I said, "Yeah, well, I like offers, And he said, "Well, read the script and see what you think." And Robert Downey Sr. was directing, and Robert Downey Jr. was going to be in it. I said, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And Ralph Macchio, he was hot at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Oh, okay." So I read it, and it's for a very flamboyant gay person, right? And I went, "Wow, that's really a challenge, man." Okay. So I said, "You know what? I'm interested. Yeah. I'm an actor. I'm acting, and I'm doing that." So I said, "Okay." So when I met Robert Downey Sr., and he said, "I'm so glad you're on board," and everything like that. And I said, "Yeah. Let's." Let me ask you something, Bob. In all my previous work, what made you think I could do this? Right? And he went, "Oh, I think you could. Yeah, I had a feeling." Right? So now I have to get. Now it was great because the costumer, actually, he was a great guy, and he was my size, and he was very gay, and so his wardrobe fit me, and it worked great. But I had to get into, if you want to go Strasbourg, I did deep. Who do you think they cast as my lover? Eric Idle from Monty Python. He has played more damn women than he has men. And I'm just like, it was just so bizarre, right? And everything. And he and I became great friends. But in the rehearsal period, I shouldn't go there. Yeah, but we became great friends.
Oh, good. Great.
Yes.
Well, in my situation, and Norm, it's basically like I said before, you have to know your enemy. I'm a big fan of The Art of War.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know your enemy, you're not going to defeat your enemy. So what I do is I do all the research I can on the group that I was going to infiltrate. Read all the agency reports, talk to people that have investigated these groups. I just want to know everything about them, basically.
Right. I still don't know. It takes a lot of balls to do what you do. I have no idea how you could go and actually do it. I know a neighbor of mine, when I was a kid growing up, he was a cop and didn't see him forever. And he ended up, I guess you'd call it deep undercover with the Satan's Choice, which is now the Hell's Angel. And when I did see him as a kid, it was like, what happened? Like, he was this, just a guy that used to take care of us. Now he's just full out biker. Yeah, it was pretty interesting to see the transformation.
Yeah.
But
it does carry over when they depicted it a little bit in Donnie Brasco. But if I'm playing a character that is not the most charming individual, and maybe he's over the street, he's a gangster or something like this, you do slip into things when you're at home with your family. Pass the fucking peas.
yeah.
I never said that.
No, you didn't. No. But yeah,
but I have used the routine in restaurants.
Yes.
You go into a restaurant and it's crowded and you don't have a reservation, and they say, "Do you have a reservation?" "Yeah, sure, I got a reservation." And you give them a name. "Well, there's not." I said, "What?" Then you argue. "Well, hey, what do you want from me? I made the reservation 3 days ago." And eventually they'll cave and give you a table.
Oh, okay. You got to tell me if you do this. When they say your name, you go, "Joe." "What's your name?" "Joe."
Oh yeah, sure. And you never give them the real. They never give even the last names. I got several last names, and you always give a different name.
Yeah. I don't do quite the same. I go, "Hi, I'm Leo Rossi. I'm an actor. I'm here." Leo Rossi, that's LEOROSS. I'm here, No, I don't do that.
So you had some time up here, like not only film career, but for Joe, Carbonneau Commission. So let's talk about mobsters in Montreal. Now, we're Canadian, so let's talk about the Carbonneau Commission. Why do you think it's become renowned for relationships in construction?
Well, because, in New York, we had the big commission case, and we also had the case which was tied into that, where all the 5 families controlled all the construction in the city. They got a piece of every building that was ever built. In other words, they controlled the cement, they controlled the rebar, they controlled the windows that were going to be installed. Every aspect of building a building, they got a piece of. The Bonanos were big in that because they were one of the families. The Bonanos are represented up in Montreal. That's one of the main reasons why I was brought in to testify on the mob's relationship with the construction industry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear Olympic Stadium. I was in Montreal during that time, and there was a few rumors of, how many bodies were in the cement in the Olympic Stadium.
Probably were a few.
Yeah. I had a chance. My agent was trying to get me up for the lead in, I don't know what the title was, but it was about the Sicilian mafia in Montreal. And the role was Vito Rizzuto.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And, they went with another Italian, except he was from Australia. What's his name? Oh, God. He had a series.
Yeah, his brother's an actor, too.
His brother's an actor. He's actually a wonderful actor.
He's a good actor.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, see how sometimes.
I can see his face, but I can't think of his name.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. But he got the role.
Yeah.
And it was made. It was based on a book, I think, too, wasn't it, Joe?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was based on a book. But, yeah, he was, well, I mean, I've read different accounts. Was Vito Rizzuto supposedly one of the guys?
Yeah, Rizzuto was part of it. It's a Sicilian. They got their own mob, but they're associated with the Bonanos. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know he worked with the guys with you. Yeah.
In fact, when the 3 capos were killed, when I say we, because the side I was with are the ones that killed the 3 capos, they brought down a couple shooters from Montreal to be in on the hits. Yeah.
So Montreal, most people, my main demographics in the US, for sure. But people don't realize that in Montreal, in Hamilton, Ontario, that's close to where we are, Toronto, pretty big mob areas.
Yeah.
Very active.
Toronto used to be too. I'm not sure how much is there now, but they were in Toronto too.
Oh, you just brought up a point about used to be big. How does that happen where you can be all dominating, huge, control everything, and then in one foul swoop, it just seems like it's not gone away, but it's just knocked down so many pegs?
I think we can attribute it to Joe. I really do.
I think a lot of it has to do with us taking down all the bosses of the families. So you get kind of a vacuum with the old timers. The younger guys coming up, they're so far removed from the, not from the life, but from the origins. Half of these guys, they couldn't find Italy or Sicily on the map if they had to. It's the younger generation, and it being the younger generation, being a me generation, I want it now. They don't have the wherewithal to look. When the mob was at its height, why? Because they had politicians in their pockets, they had law enforcement in their pockets, they had judges in their pockets, they had the unions in their pockets. And once the old timers either died or went to jail, these young guys, they didn't have the wherewithal to make these inroads to cultivate these people. And then with the other organized crime groups moving in, the Albanians, the Russians. The Albanians are big in the States, so are the Russians, and they don't have any fear anymore of the mafia. At one time, they all feared the mafia. Not anymore, because the young guys can't stand up to them. So, right now, they're just another organized crime group. Are they involved in everything? Yeah. But they don't control the unions. They don't control politicians. They don't control law enforcement, and that's basically why.
Joe, he wrote a book called The Good Guys, and he collaborated on it with Bill Bonanno. Joe Bonanno, the head of the Bonanno family, his son Bill, who was also, now Bill was on the shelf out of the life when they collaborated, but it also dealt with the Russian mob.
Russians, yeah.
These guys, they're one of their things that was brought up that if they're trying to take over, like a guy owned a nightclub and they want to take it over. So his wife would be walking down the street and they have a styrofoam cup of water and they throw it in her face. And she, what is that? Next time it's lye, right? Acid, whatever. I mean, they are.
Well, the Albanians are just as bad as the Russians as far as the organized crime groups. Because you look, if you ever been to Albania, which I've been there and worked there, if you ever been to Russia, because I've been to Russia, it's a tough life, man. It's a tough life. And over here, this is like a bed of roses dealing with law enforcement over here versus dealing with the coppers over in Albania and Russia.
Well, what we didn't touch in the first season on our podcast was, wait a minute, Joe, he worked the 5 mafia families and everything like this. But guess what? Joe worked with third world countries undercover. Joe worked, like he said, Siberia, he all over the world. And we're going to touch on that because he went into some territories where life was real cheap. And, people just think of, okay, the American mafia. No. He is a multinational person.
You don't want to go to jail in Haiti.
Yeah.
Take it from me.
So you're a global badass.
Yeah.
I don't know about badass, but I've been global.
Well, why don't we touch on your podcast, Deep Cover? Before Anthony told you about us, I didn't know about the podcast. I went and I checked it out, and it's great. It is. I mean, you're going to just be glued to the podcast. And my kids know, like, I'm all into crime, like documentaries and stuff like that. So I love it. So the podcast, I mean, it is called Deep Cover Podcast. And Joe and Leo are both the hosts. But why don't we talk about it? Where do you find, I guess we just tap into Joe's expertise to find people, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's another point. Norman, you bring this up very good. First of all, thank you. It's Deep Cover, the Real Donnie Brasco, Spotify. You can get it on all the Apple podcasts, iTunes, and Jam Street Media.
Yeah, our production company is Jam Street Media.
Yeah, and, that's the one you can find.
Yeah, Matty Stout is president owner, and John Mosier.
He's our consigliere. But yeah, it's been gratifying that I didn't know the podcast world. Obviously, Norman, you and Hayden do. But they said, this is good. Matty said, this is good. What's good? I said, what's good? Well, we got length. Oh, I said, well, we got length. What the hell is length? Apparently, it means people that tune in stay on.
Yes.
To the end.
Yeah.
So we're a lengthy podcast. We've got length. It's like my wife. I just moved into a new place, and she wanted sustainable flooring. So when you come to my place, I will introduce you to sustainable flooring everywhere. And it ain't cheap. Yeah. Anyway, but my grandkids are coming. I just wish, as I was talking, hey, if you have a quote, right, when we were talking and everything, and the quote that comes to my mind, and I'm Joe, I'm sure you got a quote, is my father used to say it all the time. If at first you don't succeed, stop. Why make a big jackass out of yourself? So that's a good thing to go with. Joe, do you have one?
I got a lot of them, Leo.
Oh, I think your favorite is the Roman poet Ovid. To be loved, be lovable.
Be lovable.
That's you, baby. All right, kids.
All right. So you guys got to get going. I got just a question for you. I don't know if Hayden mentioned it to you, but if you have somebody that you think of, like right now, that we can mention on the air. So we will cut this part out, but we always say, hey, at the end of every podcast, do you know a guy for the podcast? And so our guests usually say, oh, yeah, I'll introduce you to so-and-so. So that's how Anthony introduced us to you guys. So I don't know if you want to go down that road. I don't know if you have anybody that you can think of. You want to get back to us?
Well, I know one guy that is ripping it up, Joe Rogan.
Like I doubt very much if Joe would come on our podcast.
Probably slim to none.
Yeah, zero.
You know what? Let me think on it. Yeah, because there's some actor friends of mine that might be good interviews. You know? Yeah. And I can get back to Hayden on that. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do this. I'll do the same, Norm.
Yeah, guys, I really want to extend this out to you. We talked a lot. If I knew that you guys had to go right away, I would have cut out some of the stuff we were talking about. But can we get you back on and talk about the other side of the life? I want to know, a bit more of the life, a bit more of the obstacles that you've had to overcome, and your favorite successes.
Sure, why not?
This has been fun. Maybe 3 weeks a month, something like that.
Yeah.
And it'll be great because it coincides with our second season. So we will come back, and this has been a pleasure for me. So you're a gentleman and a scholar. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
And Hayden has been very professional. So I'm on board.
I'm up for it.
All right, perfect. Well, guys, it has been a pleasure meeting both of you. All right. We'll see you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
So what'd you think of that one, Dad?
Where'd the time go?
Yeah, right? I definitely had a great time listening in the background there.
Half the time my mouth was open. Half the time I was laughing. Oh my gosh, these guys. You know what? They really do make a great pair, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I love how Leo was known as a talkative one. I think they mentioned that at the beginning. And Joe was the man of few words. But together they really complement each other.
Yeah, no. Very great pair. And I see why their podcast is doing so well. If you haven't checked it out, you got to check out Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco. And it features Joe Pistone and Leo Rossi at their best. It's a great podcast.
Yep, make sure to check it out. We'll have a link to it in the episode notes on the website.
All right.
And so also, if you're listening out there, make sure to go to our website and give a look at the episode notes. And we also have a bunch of other resources on there, so keep you in the loop.
Perfect. You did very good, Hayden.
Oh, thank you, Dad. I try. I really try over here.
All right. Until the next episode, we'll see you later.
That concludes our interview with Joe and Leo. Up to bat for next week is Frankie Marino. Frankie is a singer-songwriter and musician who's had hits on the Billboard Top 10 charts for pretty much all of last year. So obviously I was super stoked to pick his brain. We really dig into his songwriting process and how he got to where he is today. So don't miss it. Make sure to check us out on any platform that you can find us. That's YouTube, Podbean, Apple Music, Spotify, all those things. Anyway, that's enough for me, and I'll see you next time.